Thank you for joining me, Tom. I really appreciate you being here.
No worries.
So here to talk about your run at the London Open, with a very interesting Custodes list that I haven't seen run actually ever. So I'm really, I'm really interested in what inspired you to create it. What kind of models you're really enjoying from the look of it. I would say Alaris, however people want to kind of pronounce it.
Alaris. I don't know. No one ever says Custodes words right.
No, they're all made up. There you go.
Custodes or Custodes.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'd love to run through your list and also the run you had at the London Open and managed to take the top spot for the best Custodes list there at the time as well.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So it's would you prefer to start it off, or should I try to run through the list? I mean,
if you go ahead.
Yeah, more than happy to. So, running in your list, first of all, quite surprising, I haven't seen for a while in the Custodes list, is an Inquisitor. Running the Xenos Psychic Veil. You had the Shield Captain. Everyone, I mean, on Dawn Eagle Jack by everyone's favourite.
Yeah. The annoying guy that everyone hates.
Yeah. Brilliant guy though. Trajan, of course. You can't have a Custodes army without Trajan at the moment. A one single squad of Custodian Guard. Then 4 times of... Oh, no, sorry, it's another one of 3 Sentinels. That was the one that was intriguing to me, with the blades and shields. And then 3 of the Sagittarium, with 3x3. Then we had a big squad of 6 Alaris.
Yeah, that's how it works.
We're going to agree that through this whole thing, it doesn't matter how that's said.
Terminators.
Terminators, that's the one. Another big squad of 5, a single, and then we're going to have this problem. Vexillus Praetor.
The Banner Boy.
The Banner Boy, but not in Terminator armor, I noticed.
No.
But he did also have the full Minaris Aggressor relic with him.
So that allows them to ignore. Basically, when I shoot, I ignore cover within 6.
Absolutely. So, I suppose starting at the top, what inspired you to bring the Inquisitor? Was it purely you had 60 points free, or was there thinking behind that?
The Inquisitor's there because there's a ton of indirect fire going on out there at the moment, and while Custodes often don't care, if you leave one little Terminator on your backfield, you will. If they want to kill him, they will kill him if they point all of their indirect at him. So what Custodes struggle with is cheap units to hold backfield objectives.
Yeah.
The thing about an Inquisitor is when you take that Psychic Veil power, goes off on Warp Charge 5. It's pretty easy to get off with the reroll. It's like 90%, something like that. What that spell says is that character can't be targeted unless they're visible and the closest unit. So if you're up against 15 Desolation Marines, you can leave your Inquisitor backfield behind a piece of terrain, and they cannot be shot.
Oh, okay. So just
especially allows the rest of the Custodes to run forward. Yeah.
Nice.
Every now and again, you can squeak out a little Warp Ritual, but it's generally inadvisable because you got one little squishy Inquisitor in the middle of the battlefield. Very rarely will you go for that, but you always remember that maybe you could.
That's nice thinking. See, in my head, often when I've played Custodians, it's been I'll keep the Sagittarium. Again, we're going to have these issues. Sagittarium Guard, the gun boys. I'll keep them like way back, and then they'll just shoot when something comes near. So having, but tackling that indirect issue, that's that's really good thinking behind it. Yeah.
You're rolling 2s against most of it, but if that one Terminator dies, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And it's really, really bad.
So you were keeping him back with with the single Terminator then on that backfield?
Depending on the mission. Mainly it was just the Inquisitor. There was one mission where someone's got a Day Descry Salvage, where someone's got to be back there to press the button to get the victory point. So you got to leave 2 back there. One, the Inquisitor cuts in the power, and the Terminator pressing the button. But that game went horribly anyway. So that didn't really matter.
But you were thinking ahead, and so if it had worked, that's the way to tackle it, and that's that's really cool. And then, so I suppose carrying on through the list, we have the Shield Captain. Most things on the Shield Captain, I'd say, are pretty. I wouldn't say standardized.
He is
in there. Superior Creation, he's got the salvo launcher. Some people switch that out for bolters. And then Victor to give him a second trait plus the tip of the spear. I suppose the one that was interesting in that was the fact you did give him the Auric Exemplar as you're playing in Emperor's Chosen. So
Yeah.
how come maybe Auric Exemplar rather than Radiant Mantle or even the Deny the Witch ability?
Though I use them as a sort of annoying to kill missile. So what I'll go for. So what Superior Creation does is it gives you a 5 feel no pain. And what Auric Exemplar does is for each model you kill in melee, you can get an extra attack, up to a maximum of 4. So essentially, he starts with 6 plus 4 is 10. Then he has a little dagger for 11 attacks. And because he should be rolling 1 sit and wound from tip of the spear, on the charge, typically he should be able to clear out most squads you point them at, most little objective holders. And without those 4 extra attacks, it's a lot more dicey. Your marine opponent can transhuman, and then you're probably not going to kill 5. And he's not obsec, so you need to wipe all 5. So it's just that little bit of keenness that tips it over, so that he can reliably do the things you want to do.
Yeah, it just gives you that extra hit there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I think one relic that's missing from him that I think a lot of other people take is a Castellan's Mark.
For the redeploy?
For the redeploy, yeah. The reason that's not on the list is just because I couldn't afford it. I needed to start on 3 CP going to 4, so I could pop both defensive strats on the Terminators turn 1 if I needed to.
Oh, that's interesting. So that because you had the squad of 6, you needed the 2 CP for those.
Yeah, it's 2 CPs transhuman, 2 CPs turn off rerolls.
That brings us, I suppose, into a little touch on what I was going to cover later, but with the new data sheet, that obviously isn't going to be possible now.
Yeah, it's fine. the amount of times you actually spend all 4 CP to keep them alive is really rare because it's so expensive and because those have a bunch of other really good strats.
Yeah.
So often you'll spend the first strat, you'll say you'll turn off rerolls, and that maths out, you'll save 2 more Terminators. And then if you transhuman, you maybe save 1 more. So it's diminishing returns by adding on the durability. So while, yes, sometimes it's the correct thing to do when they're the only thing your opponent can see and they're about to point all their guns at it, in general, you just wear a little bit of damage for keeping your CP later to do fun, funky things.
Okay.
So I don't think it's that big of a difference.
Okay. So I suppose nowadays, if that's where you were starting with that before the data sheet, nowadays you could probably spend that extra bit if you wanted to bring the Castellan's Mark, because it's not going to be as effective now.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be back in. But we'll see. I've got a tournament, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Oh, where is it you're playing?
The Peterborough Slam.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a new event run by my team captain, Paul. So going on to... It's grown quite a lot. It's only the second one he's done, but it's grown quite quick. So
you'll have all the announcements to watch from the Warfest at the same time, right?
Oh, yeah.
As you're playing, be like, "There's a new model there." That's great. So then, I suppose the guard squad, the spear guys, I think I get seen quite a bit. So it's great to see them in there and actually being used. But the one that was intriguing in that group was that you had another 3 of the blade and the shield. What was the reason for having that packed rather than... I've seen lists before where people bring 2 spears, 1 shield, that kind of mix up so that the aim of the focus is going to go on to him first. But
the reason you want to keep each squad's like all one weapon is because if you have all 3 spears and if you have all 3 swords and there's no spears in the unit, you get another strat for -1 to hit in melee. So if you put those 3 out on essential objectives, they're just that bit more durable than if it was 2 spears or 2 shields, 1 spear. So you want to keep both squads completely separate with their loadouts.
So the shield guys were really charging up there, taking a middle objective, and just holding as best they could, essentially.
Well, generally those 2 squads were there to just be like turn 1. Often nothing really happens. So what you do is you put out 2 units of custodian guards, touching 2 objectives, and that is sufficiently annoying to remove that your opponent will have to dedicate something big to kill them. And if they only dedicate something which should kill them 50% of the time, you then turn off rerolls or you transhuman them, and they're not going to kill them anymore. So they've got to overcommit to killing them, otherwise I'll turn all my strats and they'll survive. and then by the time they've overcommitted, you then swoop in with all the other stuff. Is the idea.
Nice. Okay, cool. Then the 3 squads of 3 Sank Guard. They're my latest models I'm currently working on. I'm really enjoying using them. Using them as greys. Still like magnetizing every arm I can.
Yeah, not having to deal with all the super glue. Super gluing those bolters together is one of the worst experiences of my life.
Awful. It's awful, but I love the models.
Yeah, they're such nice models.
So how did they fare for you at the weekend?
They're really good. So the profile, so you got 3 heavy bolter shots, so strength 5, AP 1, damage 2. And then if you're within 15, you get another strength 5, AP 3, damage 3 shot, which is a combi profile, so if you fire both, all 4 shots in on 3s. The AP 1 is actually kind of fine into marine meta, because you've got a banner, which allows you to ignore cover. So all those marines in cover are still saving on 4s, and it's damage 2. So 9 shots, you got rerolls from Trajan. They end up murdering stuff at a good 36-inch range.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you were keeping the banner near their squads then?
As much as I could. But he's prioritized for the Yalaris.
Yeah.
But if I can keep the Setter Charm near, I will. It's sort of a bonus.
Absolutely. And then obviously Trajan really good for that reroll 1. So you're hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. It's a bit unfair to the opponent, but that's
yeah. It's 2s, you're rolling 1s, then you're wounding marines on 3s, you're rolling 1s, then you're Emperor's Trojan, so you've got another free re-roll on that 2 that you rolled to wound. Yeah.
It's almost you walk to the table and just go, these are going to hit you, just accept it. We'll move on.
These are basically 36-inch flamers.
I love it. That's great. Yeah, they're my new favourite model at the moment. Really enjoying running them.
Yeah, they're really nice.
I'm taking a 3x3 to Warhammer FS, but for the 1,000-point tournament. So it's a lot smaller, nice. But just for fun. Because
they're just so good.
Yeah, people have less models to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, and then people get to charge them. And you're like, well, actually, I got 4 attacks a model back. It's all AP2.
All with the Miscordias, yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So on the Alaris Custodians, the one that intrigued me the most, obviously you have 2 big squads. You have 1 of 5 and 1 of 6.
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind the 1 of 6? Purely because as soon as you tip over that 5 point, you've then got to think about positioning of where they are, because they've got to keep within 2 inches of each other. They're opened up to other kind of things against them. Was it more of a points thing? And you had another 60, so it's throwing that in there. I mean, to be honest, I was saying that about the Inquisitor. I was supposed to throw it down here as well. What was the thinking behind the 6?
You're just maximising the strat efficiency on them. You'd rather spend 2 CP for protecting 3 extra models than 2 extra models if you can. Yeah. Yes, they're weaker to blast, but there's not really much. It's 6-man blast, not 11-man blast, which is much less scary a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's a downside, but it's worth it just to have 6 dudes that you can advance up into a ruin turn 1.
Okay, cool. So then on the single guy, you were saying on certain missions you kept him back. Was there a point when you used him to be behind enemy lines guy that you can just tuck in somewhere, or was that not your focus?
I wouldn't really go behind enemy lines with this list, because you've only got really the captain and that one Alaris who could be threatening it really.
Yeah.
He's just there. Sometimes he'll hold an objective on his own. Sometimes I'll chuck him in deep strike, see how the game goes, and then turn 3 he just deep strikes on some objective that I'm gonna have to leave with my 3 shield guys, for example.
Yeah.
Or he can be really annoying because they're always, if there's one guy on deep strike who's obsec, they have to make sure they've screwed up their backfield, because otherwise there's gonna be an obsec guy on the home objective.
Yeah, of course.
He's just annoying.
Yeah, he's just a nice threat to keep there up for a few turns.
Yeah.
I like it.
But you gotta, so there is a reason you gotta keep 1 squad. There's a squad of 5 rather than 6. It's because so you can use strat teleport homer to basically pick them up and put them next to the Vexilla.
Yeah.
Thing is, you gotta only be within 3 of the Vexilla, not wholly within 3. So when you've got unit of 5, you can string out all the way 14 inches with that coherency. rather than the unit of 6, which is all clustered up. You know, you get like
Yeah.
8 inches or something.
So that unit of 5 really just gave you a little bit more reach when you needed it at certain times.
It's basically means turn 1 you can get a 9-inch charge on the whatever, because you put your banner up, sit in the center, he goes 9, then you say you advance 3, he goes 9, but then with 3 of the banner, then 14 away from the banner is the last guy, and then that has to be 9 inches away from your opponent. You've got a pretty crazy distance.
Wow.
That you can put these Terminators down. I never actually ended up doing
that.
it in the tournament, but what happens is before the game you say, I can do this, screen accordingly, and then they have to mess up their deployment somewhat to deal with it.
Yeah, so even as you said, even if you actually didn't do it, the threat of it being there, again with keeping one guy up in space, it's just giving you that pushback on them. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I definitely you definitely tell your opponent before you do that every game, because putting stuff like that out your ass is not going to get you friends.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Okay, so if we go through some of the games you had, that's probably the best way to run for this.
Yeah.
Your first game was up against Gene Stealer Colts, which you did actually win. I mean, not to sound silly, that's nothing against your skill at all. When you see Gene Stealer Colt, it's just like, yeah, no, at the moment, don't worry about it.
Honestly, that was my feeling. I opened up my pairings on Thursday. I was at working, and I got pairings opened up. I saw Gene Stealer Colt. I was like, because typically it's a bad matchup for the Custodes.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, you really did well. 96 to 78. That is fantastic. So, yeah, what did you take to for that one to get your scores, and also like how was the game?
So, I'll go with. So the secondaries I took was Stand Vigil, no prisoners because he had a million models and he resurrected them all game, and banners. And he took Brood Swarm, which got him 15, as you'd imagine. Ambush and RBD, Retrieve Battlefield Data.
Yeah.
I when I saw the pairing, I thought immediately, oh, well, I'll try and go 4-1. But when I was thinking about it, the list I've taken is actually quite alright into Gene Stealer Colts. Each Terminator has an axe, which is 2 shots, rapid fire 1, 2 shots, and a grenade, which is blast D3, so that's 3 shots versus their big 20-man, 10-man blobs. Then you put them in Salvus, so they get 4 shots from their axe rather than 2. And suddenly each Terminator is putting out 7 shots. You can split that across 2 units of 20 and kill most of them, or you can focus down 1 unit of 20 and pretty much definitely kill it. Because it's so you're saying 2's rolling 1s, 3's rolling 1s, 1 free reroll, AP 3 with those grenades, no save. You mince through 17, 18 of them just with the grenades. The thing you've got to watch out for with Gene Stealer Colts is all of their tricksy, deep strikey stuff.
Yeah, of course.
In base, this is the first time I've actually played them. It's one of those times that I know kind of how they work, but once you play them, it's really different. They all deep strike 8 inches. That's just what they do. Or they can choose to deep strike 6 inches from you and shoot but not charge. Or they can pay a CP to deep strike 3 inches from you and still not charge, but I think they could shoot.
I've never had to face them myself. It sounds very much like demons, which I have played a lot against. So.
Yeah, well, the Custodes don't care about all their reducing of charges. They're still 9s from us.
Yeah, all leadership, ignore that. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? Rules.
So how did you screen? Obviously, with Custodes have that thing where they're very tough models, but you are very limited. So how was the screening to kind of protect for that, or was there a sense of you just ignored that and said, "Look, come at me, I'll take you down"?
So you what I did was I let some things through on purpose and screened out other stuff on purpose. You have those big 20 strong bricks of neophytes, which they're just big. Like the unit to place is big, so you can screen out 8 inches from that pretty well. And I ended up putting some characters back, the ones I didn't particularly care about at that point, like the Bannerman, Ignore and Cover. I'm AP3. Don't really need the Ignore cover in this game. he was out there screening, the Inquisitor was back there screening, the One-Last was back there screening. Loads of single models. Just there were gaps for his RBD to come in because I was never going to stop 5 people coming in with 3 inches from me.
Yeah.
But I managed to screen up the 20-man blocks from a backfield, which was the main thing because I denied some of the crossfire that he could have taken on me. So yeah, it was mainly making sure that he could never deep strike straight onto an objective that I was on, making sure that you're always covering 3 inches, and then just making sure that he's not going to get the absolute best angles that he can, and sort of minimizing it to the best of your ability. So he ended up having to put both his 20-man near-fight bricks in his half.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really impressive.
Single models screen up quite a lot once you just got them all spread out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, as you were saying earlier, you can take that huge spread out. That's very good tactics from your side on that one. Really cool. So obviously took that one, and then unfortunately the second one didn't go as well.
Did not go well at all.
But admittedly, I mean, not to sound silly, you're against Dark Angels. There's almost a level of at the moment where people go, cool, yeah, that's a bit of a cheese game.
Well, the sort of embarrassing thing is I teched my list to kill Dark Angels, then got absolutely smashed when I came up against Dark Angels. No. So Malek's obviously a very good player.
Yes. I'm not insulting in the sense of insulting. It's just one of those things of like.
Oh
at the
no,
moment, there's certain armies you go, fine, like.
I mean, I looked at it. I was like, if I want to go for, so I'm not a 5-0 player. I'm not going to Storm Strain for 5-0. I'll be happy with 4-1, but I'll hope to get 4-1 and be happy with 3-2. That's sort of my general outlook on it.
I'm happy with 1-4 at the moment. I mean.
But I saw this playing round 2, and I was like, if there's a game I want to lose to go 4-1, it's round 2, I think. Because if you win all 3 games in a row, you're up against 2 really good players in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that game was interesting. I looked through his list. I think he took about 900 points of indirect. So he's got 2 Whirlwind Scorpiuses, which were like 250 points.
Yeah, I think actually his list ended up being spoken about on the Fireside podcast.
Yeah.
As well, because I think that was something that intrigued Vic as well, where they're like, "That's a lot of points."
It's a lot of points of indirect, and it's an arms race. Because if you come up against other people's indirect and you've got more indirect than them, then you kill their indirect for their. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. But still, unfortunately, I think will still exist with Iron Hands and Space Wolves, but there you go.
Well, at least I don't get 50 points for turning up. That was an interesting game. So Malek actually kind of struggled taking secondaries against me. So you get Codex Warfare for free, although he was even thinking about not taking that, but he ended up taking it in the end. And then
why would he not take it?
Because I only had like not enough units, and if I just hid and played a very passive game, he would score like 6.
Right, I see.
But what he ended up doing, which was very smart, was he took Codex Warfare anyway, and then he took Warp Ritual and Retrieve Battlefield Data. So basically what ended up happening was, if he got 12 on Warp Ritual and 12 on Battlefield Data, even if he got 0 on Codex Warfare, he'd still win. So it meant that I then had to run at him to try and score my points, because I had taken Assassination, Engage, and Banners.
Right.
So I needed to murder him, otherwise I was going to definitely lose. So he took some secondaries that said, you have to run at me, and then I got points for killing you as you run at me. Problem was, he went first, put up his single Ezekiel, I think it was, the Psyker, to do Warp Ritual.
Yeah.
Passed it that turn. Then I put my bike captain up, and I actually managed to get a charge with my bike captain on Ezekiel turn 1. Left him with 1 wound. So so he fell back, and he still got 12 on Warp Ritual.
And your Auric isn't going to help there, unfortunately, against only one model. No.
Yeah, just the one model. It was unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I messed up that game, because that basically turn 1 he put forward Ezekiel and 2 bricks of Terminators. And I went forward to, no, sorry, Ezekiel, one brick of Terminators, and a Talon Master. And I went forward to get a charge on the Talon Master to take him off an objective, and make a charge with the captain. Pass the charge with the captain, fail the charge with the Terminators. And I had just a block of Terminators out in the open, which got absolutely annihilated by 15 Dark Lances from the Desolators. They got the indirects, but then they actually look at you and you also die.
Yeah. That's the thing why they're so mean, is the fact they have that range if they need it, and then also can just move up and do even more. I mean, is it Space Wolves have like loads of strats to help on that side and on the direct aim, so it's
we're
gonna likely
got
see more
keen
of them.
senses. Oh, that was the thing. So yeah, turn one. So you've got your Mastercrafted Vengor launcher on your Desolator squads. So I can't remember. I think it makes it strength 5, AP 2, damage 3. Might be strength 6. I can't remember. The thing was, he was shooting indirect at my Terminators in cover through my banner, who's giving them -1 to hit. It was like, yeah, so I'm hitting on 2s. Sorry, mate. Should have line of sight. Through -1 to hit, and you're hitting on 2s. It's like, yeah, so I'm Dark Angel, so when I stand still, I get +1 to hit. I've got a Signum or something, which gives me Ballistic Skill 2. I've also got another thing, like Targeting Array, which gives me another +1 to hit.
Oh no.
So I'm Ballistic Skill 2 with +2 to hit. Well, I've got -2 to hit for hitting out indirects. I'm still hitting on 2s. Like, come on. What's this?
That's mean. I
The
guess
entrance failed to me like 3 times. I couldn't get it through my head what was happening.
And suddenly your Inquisitor comes into its own there, definitely. But
well, that's the idea, because I was like, yeah, my Inquisitor will find the other job. She'll sit back and not get tied to the indirect there. It's got tabled in like 2 turns. I was like, alright, it didn't really matter.
It's a real shame there's nothing for indirect in Custodes list. Like when I was kind of looking into it more, I was like, oh, maybe the tank has it. I can't remember. Maybe it has it. It's like, looked at it, nope, nothing there.
It's
Okay,
an honest book.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just got strength and shoots, and it's good. There we go. But yeah.
Yeah, and we pass a bunch of 4-pin buns. That's what we do.
Maybe we'll see something in 10th. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Everyone's going to be running tanks then, you know.
Yeah, it's looking like it.
And then you got your own back against the Astartes in the next round when you came up against a group of Ultramarines.
Yeah.
Who had, from the looks of it, they still had the 15 Desolation squad. But then, what is it? It's 20 Vanguard veterans and a Gilliman. Which a Gilliman doesn't often get seen, I feel, anyway. And that one you took again, 97-65. So that's actually your top scoring one so far.
Yeah, I think my score went up by 1 for each game I won.
Yeah.
That was an interesting list, because I looked at it originally, I was like, oh, that'll probably be fine. And then I looked through it, and I was like, actually, he's got Seal of Oath, so he can point at 1 unit of my Terminators and reroll all hits and wounds against it all game. That's terrifying with Desolators. And then I realised he's also got Gulliman, which means they all reroll all hits anyway. Because he's old school 8th Eds Gilliman, he still gives reroll all hits to them, and also 1 to wound, I want to say. I think he does.
I have to look at his rules, but I know he does. I mean, he's a Primarch. He's meant to be able to...
I mean, yeah. And I'm not judging the man, but one of his best things is I look at Seal of Oath and I say, oh, I'll spend 2 for each time you shoot that unit, and I'll turn off all those free rolls, hit and wound. What you can do with Desolators is I'll point 1 squad at that one with full rolls, hit and wound. You'll turn off free rolls, and then I'm still re-rolling all hits anyway. So I'll go over to the other squad of Terminators, so you can't do that anymore. So I was quite scared of that when I was turning up to the table. What mission is that? It's the quarters mission. Yeah, so one thing which was very much in my favour this game is I went second, which is very good with Stand Vigil as a secondary.
Right.
Stand Vigil is a secondary where it's essentially Stranglehold. You've got to hold more objectives in No Man Lands than your opponent, and more than half. But it scores at the end of the battle round. So if you take that secondary and go first, yeah. So the second you go second with it, it's kind of 12 or 15 if you're not doing that, you're probably gonna. If you're not taking those objectives anyway, you're probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
So, but going second was a big bonus on that because I just took Vigil, and that was already quite a lot of points. But what I
It's
ended
a
up
shame we
doing,
don't have that. There's that Thousand Suns strat where they can change their objective choices once the game's kind of going, and it's
that's
almost
tricksy.
yeah, yeah. It rarely gets used, and I've used it, I think once in like a home game purely because as soon as we started, I was like, no, actually these are wrong. But for something like Stand Vigil, it'd be such a good one to be like, oh, I'm going first. Cool, I'm going to swap that one out with something else potentially. You know,
Yeah,
not saying it's
man,
going to
I've
happen
done
all the
that.
time, but it just like other armies get it, so why can't we?
Yeah.
They decide.
Oh, I'll pay so much for that. So to have one secondary choice where I can take it and be happy.
Well, that's no, but you did amazing on that one, and then that led you on to the next day when you came up against with a 98 to 57 Drukhari, another army that typically I'm quite scared of, but whenever I played them,
I think Takari is
fast,
probably
deadly, just don't want to get in the way.
yeah. I mean they. I'm always whenever I see I'm paired against Takari, I know I'm going to be in for a fun time because it's a really fun army to play. It's really interactive, so I really just enjoy the combat phase. And it's the two complete opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of combat. It's
Yeah.
I'm slow and tanky, and you're moving 18 and charging me. um, but that game, I've never seen worse luck from an opponent. I felt so bad for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So turn one, he went for a charge with his Drazar, two Incubi, and Grotesques, and passed only the charge with Drazar, which was the first charge he went for. Essentially meant that was kind of game over immediately
Oh no,
because
really?
yeah, well, I mean it's so bad for him. I got to clear off so many of his big fighty units
Yeah.
immediately before they even did anything. But at that point, Drakari plays best as a trading game, and their best trading pieces are already gone. So,
Nice
Kyoto
Sunday morning
opponent, he
start
was
for him. Yeah.
yeah. um, he played it through. He's a really nice guy, but the second it goes that badly for you, turn one, he's on such a back foot just from the get go.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So then, I suppose I won't dig into that one too much. Then, don't want to, if you mean. But...
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about what happened after that, but basically it was over after he failed a bunch of charges, which is kind of unfortunate.
And then, as you said, your scores just kept going up, and you the last game of the weekend you went 99 to 68 against the Black Templars.
Yeah.
How was that one? I mean, another Astartes army. This time you didn't have the Desolators to deal with, which
No.
must have been. You saw as soon as you saw that, you're like, oh no, and then it comes down and not there.
It was that was honestly, I think that was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that game. It's one of the grindiest combats I've ever had. I've played Black Templars in the past, but never seen someone take all of the Black Templars things because they get so many like specific, like you can put relics on each of their sergeants, can't you, and stuff like that.
So is it quite a thematic, lore-driven army then?
Yeah, well, I mean he had Grimaldus and he had Helbrecht. But that was a really cool list. So I can't remember what he had. He had 2 units of Vanguard Vets, 1 unit of Sword Brethren, 1 unit of one big Bricker Terminators, and 2 units of Assault Marines, and then some troops about, and Helbrecht
and a scout squad.
Oh, the scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
But with no transport for them, looks like.
Yeah, in the game, you just forward deployed them to take oaths for an early turn.
Fair enough.
Pretty nice.
Not often when I see scouts nowadays, it's with their land speeder thing, and then that can just jump them around where needed.
Yeah, I think the thing they get, so it's quite cheeky. So they have devout push, I think it's called. Strat which you use in the fight phase, you can move 3 inches towards either the closest enemy unit or the closest objective. So what he did was he put them hidden, turn one, near to an objective, and such that if I went first, I wouldn't be able to deal with them anyway.
Yeah.
Um, what he did was I ended up going first at the end of the battle round. At the end of the turn, he just about pushed them onto the objective, and then in his turn, he can spend a CB to make them obsec. So it's just a cheeky little way to score some points early.
Yeah, it's quite clever. And I didn't know that ability, so that's great.
Yeah, it's a really tricksy army actually. It was weirdly tricksy with basically those two strats, devout push and making something obsec in the command phase. They're both really strong and annoying to play around.
So yeah, finishing the weekend 4-1, as you said, you're kind of generally happy knowing that you're going to come out of a game 4-1. Is that your next aim? You really want to be pushing for the full wins? And don't get me wrong, taking a 5-0, I think I spoke to a judge friend recently. He said often it involves a lot of luck in terms of like the run you have as well to get that final win. So
yeah, I mean, I had luck to go 4-1. Like I went second in the games where I needed to go second, and rolled saves where I needed to roll saves.
Oh, sorry, not to take away from you. No, luck on a 5-0, not.
Oh no, I mean,
no,
I'm just saying 4-1 is also quite a lot of luck.
4-1 is skill. 4-1 is you proving your skill there. Yeah, taking that final one is definitely a run option.
5-0, I don't think. I'm not a top tournament player, but I don't think it's possible unless you're running something which is a meta army. Because you'll have to come up against one of the top meta armies to go 5-0. At some point during a run, you'll have to. And I don't think Custodes really struggled into guard because there was a pre-data slate, so they could do 15 mortal wounds, and I could take 300 pains against it, and that's like half my army. Dark Angels, thought I could do well, didn't. But I think that's still just a really hard matchup. Yeah, and I guess Gene Pseudocast was the other top army at the time.
When you were saying you were attacking against the Dark Angels, was that the Inquisitor and like how was the Alaris like? How was that taking against them?
So
just to combat their 30 Terminators on the board type thing.
They kill a weird amount of Dark Angels Terminators. So you can spend a CP to give them. So in the command phase, you can put them into Dreadhost to give them +1 AP, which brings their Ballistus to AP4, and their Axes to AP2. Now your AP2 ignoring cover, so they don't get their 2s against it. So they still say they're saving on 3s against the Axes, and you're in Salvus, so you've got 24 shots. But 24 shots at AP2, then you've got 18 shots at AP4. Then on the charge, you've got 24 attacks at AP3, and then Little Visual Cordio, which are also AP3 actually at the time. So on average, if you odds it out, you kill about 9 or 10 with a unit of Alaris in a turn. It's just a weird amount of damage they put out. Then the Thaddeus, of course, each of them has got a 3 damage shot. But the problem is, I'm good at killing Dark Angels Terminators. I'm not good at killing the rest of the army.
Right.
There's still a whole 1,500 points of other stuff I've got to deal with. Which,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. So what going forward now? We've had a new data slate. Not 10th yet, I know, because we don't know what's going on with that. There's loads of changes coming out every day, and it's kind of impossible for us to judge what is going to be there. I mean, vehicles getting huge toughness levels. That I've seen talk of people saying maybe it's worth bringing a Land Raider, but I don't know.
But we just have to see once all the rules are out.
Yeah, exactly. We can't tell right now. But for your next tournament, now the data slates come in, the Imperial Guard aren't going to be as strong, and it has been argued that Dark Angels are not going to be taken by anyone. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see. I think there's going to be some cowboys out there trying it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who live and die by the Deathly Terminator, so they'll be out there still.
They've just bought them all now. They don't want to get rid of them. So how are you likely to make adjustments for your list?
I'm thinking of changing to Shadow Keepers. So I was running Emperor's Chosen, which is the one everyone runs because you have 4 up for an pen against mortal wounds, and you get that free reroll. Shadow Keepers is an anti-melee one, so if you're in combat with the unit which is Shadow Keepers, you're -1 to your attacks characteristic, which is really big against armies like Orcs and World Eaters. and demons to an extent, but I'm still trying to work out whether or not I want to throw up Funa Pain against demons or if I want to give them -1 attack, because they both hit and psychic.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of trying out Shadow Keepers. It's always a bit of a gamble when you leave the protective umbrella or for off against mortals, because every now and again you come up against an army that does 20 and you die.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to try out Shadow Keepers because I think it feels to me like the meta's going to go more melee oriented, and they absolutely that army-wide buff all game is so good. It also gives you access to a fight last relic, which you can put on the captain, and he just zooms around, pointing at people to give them fight last.
And then you've
really
also
nice.
got something to protect the bikers as well. I think with
Yeah, so the strat you get is -1 strength to attacks against a unit for a phase.
Yeah.
Can't be used on vehicles or monsters, I think.
No, but it just kind of gives your bikers a little bit more survivability, because nearly every strat in the Custodes book is for infantry, and the bikers are just ignored.
Yeah, gone are the absurd glory days of the release of that codex. Absolutely ridiculous.
But actually, I suppose bringing that round, a lot of lists you'll see with Custodes will involve some bikers, some Kaizen jetpacks. Can't remember the name. It's another long thing. Benatari, there you go.
Yeah.
And occasionally people bringing either the tanks, as you mentioned earlier. I think one guy at the weekend for London Open brought Helverin as well. The kind of Imperial Knights.
Yeah.
And, a lot of other kind of big things. So seeing your army that is just a walking army, not, to sound silly, but what was the reason for not potentially bringing those other ones? Was it, again, teching against Dark Angels?
Well, so one reason is kind of... So, bikes with the way on UKTC terrain, you've got 3 big pieces and you've got 2 small pieces. Thing is, those small pieces can hide a bike unit if his spear is down, cannot hide it if his spear is up. And it makes bikes really awkward to run on UKTC terrain. So I don't run bikes on UKTC terrain anymore. I would still rate them, but their problem is on those maps there's just not enough staging points for them. They're slightly too big to hide in the medium L's. It's quite easy to get a line on them. And also for the meta, they're terrible as Dark Angels. They're strength 7 with +1 to wound, and you go yay, and then your falls.
Yeah.
But the others, then I just like being able to basically put out a whole unit, which is a whole army, which is OBSEC.
Yeah.
All of its OBSECs and counts as 2 models. It opens up Stand Vigil as a secondary, which you can take fairly often. Even if you go second against some armies, they're not going to shift you. And if they try to, they're probably going to commit too much to do so. If you just try 5 Terminators and Trajan on objective, a lot of armies can kill it, but some armies can't. And when they can't, that's really, really bad for them. But yeah, the Helverins are an interesting choice. I think some people, they take them as hunters of beasts.
Yeah, to get rid of... It's kind of the anti-vehicle options, but the downside is if someone's not bringing a vehicle, then what do they do? So... Well,
they're still pretty good. It's like, 4D 3 shots, they're damage 3. They just they pick up stuff.
They can whiff, though.
They can whiff. Sometimes you roll 4 1s on those 4D3s. You don't know, great. 4 shots, okay, that's 2 hits and no wounds, right? Okay, moving on. Yeah, I rate the knights. I personally, I just don't have any, and I'm probably not going to buy any.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I would try them out and see, but I don't like them enough to buy them.
Yeah. That's fair enough, man. Cool. Thank you so much for joining me and letting me go through your list and talking about the games, and good luck in 2 weeks.
Yeah, cheers.
Hope you go another 4-1 at least, and then if you try and you might
5-0. Dream high, dream big.
Might get it. The new meta and everything. The opportunities now. Yeah. Actually, I suppose that's one more point to raise is what with that new data slate, and you said Imperial Guard have been hit, DA out. People are looking at Space Wolves and Iron Hands as the top now. Do you think Custodes with those other changes have managed to jump up the list a little bit, or are they still kind of like they're good, but they're not gonna take the top ranks?
They're definitely better. Even though they got nerfed, they didn't get nerfed as much as the other guys who got nerfed.
Yeah.
Like comparatively, you're doing better. Problem is, demons can be a really hard matchup, and demons didn't get touched. Demons are going to be probably the best army, and Belloc goes whoosh, 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 and kills a million Terminators and every blinks. But I think comparatively, they've probably got better.
Cool. I appreciate that. So yeah, thanks very much, Tom. Really kind of you to join me, and
thanks for having me on.